Welcome to today's, I guess we'll call it a poolside chat with Jesse. I am joined today by RJ Grimshaw, President and CEO of Unifi Equipment Finance. Thanks, RJ, for joining me, man.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, and what a backdrop there. Unbelievable how beautiful it is.
I was trying to get something as beautiful as your logo here to blend in the background. You know.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that that logo is beautiful. It's pretty basic and simplistic. It's the way that we like to keep things at Unifi, but that backdrop is incredible. How warm is it there?
Last 2 days it was 108, 107. I think it's 107 again today.
Yeah, so I don't feel bad then today with our 91 degrees here in Ann Arbor. I just got off the golf course, hence why I'm somewhat casual on a Sunday afternoon. But it's the time of year to enjoy the weather.
Hey, you know what? You're casual. I am sipping a margarita outside, so you know what? It could be worse. No suit for me on the weekends.
I would be enjoying one of those, but I'll be straight honest with you and up front. I probably participate a little too much Friday afternoon and Saturday with those type of drinks. So I'm trying to cleanse myself before the week gets started. So my trainer's already pinged me this afternoon to make sure I'm good to go for tomorrow morning's session. So I'll be drinking a little water to.
That's fair. Perfectly fair.
Get hydrated and get going. So much rather have a margarita, but oh well.
So for those people who might not know you, RJ, do you mind just describing a little bit about yourself, your career in equipment finance to date?
Sure. I'm the president CEO for Unifi Equipment Finance. We're based in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We're owned by Bank of Ann Arbor. The business has been in existence since 1978, so a lot of longevity and history within this space. And primarily, we're a small ticket, more of an equipment finance company. The majority of our portfolio is your typical EFAs. We don't do a lot of residual-based equipment financing. We support the bank and their commercial lenders, as well as we do vendor and dealer business. And then we also, the third leg of the stool is we buy tranches from other institutions that are like-minded, like Unifi, where we can help them with exposure and things of that nature. So it's a great group of people, small but mighty, a lot of long tenured people in the organization, as well as new people. And it's just a great group. And it really showed and shined through COVID, like so many other people on your podcast has said. And, it's just amazing to see the resilience of folks. And, over the last 15 months, we pivoted part of the company to help with PPP through the bank. So people had to learn new skills, worked a lot of long hours. We were remote. So there was a lot of things that were no different than your company, anyone else's company, that we had to overcome. But it just showed, the tenacity and resilience of our team, as well as our customer base. We primarily lend to small businesses, a lot of mom and pops, and it's been very impressive to watch them shine, and continue to buy more equipment and just battle through every hurdle that is thrown in their way.
No, that's great to hear. And then it's just the amount of volume you guys were still able to do, working remotely was rather impressive. So
it's actually mind blowing. A year ago right now, of course, there's a lot of uncertainty and we weren't sure what was going to take place. In May, we had a record May in terms of volume, and just like so many other people in the industry that I've been talking to and you talk to, it's quite impressive what's taking place. And again, it's all about technology, systems, processes to ensure that you're efficient, and then understanding who your perfect client is. So when those transactions come through, they just flow through, and we're not, people aren't standing, scratching their head, asking, what am I supposed to do with this? So over the last 8 years since I've been here, we just continue to focus on what the perfect, dealer is, vendor is, opportunity is, and just continue to fine tune that. And, we work on it every day, and the team has made incredible strides. So, the volume that we did, which was record breaking in the month of May, it didn't feel stress on the business due to the fact that the team is just really clicking from a remote perspective too, which is impressive. We're just clicking clicking along. And again, we're no different than a lot of people, in the industry and companies and organizations. So, the team is just, our biggest fear right now is lack of equipment, lack of the supply chain. Every single dealer we talk to or the team talks to, they're at all-time lows in terms of inventory on their lot. Now, however, the positive piece of that, though, Jesse, is that when you have a buyer and you have, the dealer selling the equipment, there's no, let me think about it. It's either you're going to buy it today
gone.
or it's gone. So it's sort of like people in the industry will relate with this. It's sort of like a quarter end or month end every day of the month during these times. And that's what we stress to our team in terms of, dock preparation, getting docks out, getting that deal off the street, because the sense of urgency is there on all parties. So it's exciting to be in the middle of that right now. However, what takes place in October, November, December, when a lot of our business is driven in that quarter, Q4, and there's not inventory. The other challenge with it is that the inflation and the price pressure or the price points on used equipment, it continues to increase. So how will that play out over the next 5 to 7 years in terms of values in a default situation or workout situation will be very interesting to see. But again, when we went into COVID, we were nervous, but then all of a sudden we saw the secondary market remain so strong for assets. So it was a positive that we took advantage of for any workout situations that we've had. So it's the same thing that the mortgage industry is facing, right? In terms of people overpaying for properties and houses and the incredible appreciation. That
it's crazy what's going on out here in Arizona. I mean, people are buying stuff $50,000 overpriced and everything, and I get it, because you get people coming here from California and they're just like, wait, I can get a 2,000 square foot house for $500,000 and taxes are $1,000. Like, really?
Right.
Compared to California, that's a steal.
But let me ask you this: what happens to that in 5 years if they continue building, and then all of a sudden, that pendulum swings, right? And all of a sudden, we're overbuilt.
I wonder that all the time. I mean, I moved out here in 2010, and obviously Phoenix, like Vegas and anything else in that downturn, they took baths, right? I mean, there's the I'm just trying to think of the investor side of me where I'm waiting for some of that stuff to happen so you can pick up a few more rental properties. But there's the other side of it where you sit there and it's like there's so much construction. To your point, I don't know what happens when things go down. I mean, the good thing about out here is there's a lot of businesses that are coming in here, and we're filling all these houses, and that's why we need all the supply, which is great. But it's also one of those stressful things too.
Right. But yeah, I think you just made an incredibly valuable point in terms of your growth is being driven by commerce and commercial industry and industries that are growing and investing there. You can say that about Texas. You can say that about Tennessee. There's certain states that are taking advantage of the situation where they're saying, build your headquarters here. We want your people here, and we're going to give you tax incentives and other incentives to invest here into the area. So, you look at those states that are doing that, I think you'll be fine. It's the states that, I'll name a couple. It's the New Yorks, it's the Michigans. And I know we're not political on this show, but, a lot of it has to do with red and blue and, who is seeking the growth it's exciting when you're in those states.
You and I are both from upstate New York. It would take, I don't even know what it would take me to move back home right now based on the lack of, I don't know. That's not a business friendly state, I guess. We'll just leave it at that.
And I don't want to say never, but from our perspective, I don't see us ever going back to New York. There's no reason to, and unfortunately that's a state, and anyone that is from New York understands this, is that you have this beautiful state upstate where you're from, Watkins Glen area, you have Syracuse, Buffalo, Albany. It's beautiful. However, we pay the price of being associated with New York City. and we carry that or used, when I lived there, carry that burden from a tax perspective for that city. And we have the same thing here in Michigan. Unfortunately, we pay for Detroit, and everyone is aware of the challenges that city's had. So,
hey, but you know what? If DC gets its own statehood, maybe that opens up the door. Never know.
Yeah, but you never know. There's enough change going on in the world we live in today. Right. I'm not sure we need to continue layering on all these more and more changes. It's almost like, hey, let's pause for a second here. And I'm all about change. Believe me, I thrive on change and making things better. But sometimes you have to pump the brakes and say, let's, I think this year is going to be interesting in terms of, again, inflation, in terms of this, our president's tax code and what he's going to do there, retroactive on capital gains or not, the new corporate tax rate. I think that unfortunately, I'm not, again, I don't want to be political, but I'm not sure if that's the right thing to be doing. Maybe let's look at spending, before we start taxing more people and organizations. Let's look at how those dollars are being spent. So, and again, that's not what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, but you know what? Everyone's asking the same question, so it's perfectly fine. And that's the thing I appreciate about this industry is we both have friends that are on the left and right. And when you sit down and you have a conversation, no one cares about that. You just have a conversation, get your point, and then you move on.
We're all people.
With the thing I appreciate about friends, right?
Yeah, we're all people. I'm just nervous about this tax incentive, or for the specifically on the middle class, because a lot of people truly don't understand, what's going to take place if this is passed the way that it is, and because there's going to be emotion attached with this, and it's not just the 1%ers that they're going after. It's the, for example, if my father left me a 1967 Corvette that I helped him rebuild, and then he passes away and that asset transfers to me, now I will be paying, now he can gift it and things of that nature. However, I will be paying tax on that. It'll be a taxable event, and not on the price of that, of when he passed it on to me. They're just going to open up a Kelley Blue Book and say, oh, this is worth $75,000 and you owe us tax on that. And now people are going to have to make that hard decision.
Yeah, I disagree with that inheritance stuff, especially if you pay tax on something, you shouldn't be double taxed for that when it goes to somebody else. Sorry.
Yeah, and again, I don't. Yeah. I'm not. This isn't red, blue. It's not left or right. It's just. It's not right. It's the wrong thing.
It's a common. Right.
It's the wrong thing. And that's, if you really, and we're going down this tax hole here, but if you really sat back and sat down and with a pad and paper and a pen and think about all the taxes we pay, and this isn't if you make this amount of money or we are taxed. If you really broke it down, you're taxed on your income, you're taxed when you go buy something, sales tax, you're taxed when you buy fuel, you're taxed if you take your money, invest it and do well, work hard, you're taxed again. Then if you want to leave something behind for your children that they hopefully have a better life, they're taxed again. So where does it stop? I love paying RJ, taxes.
Death and taxes, man. It's the only thing that's guaranteed in this world.
I'm all for paying my fair share. And quite honestly, if you're paying taxes, typically it means you're successful and you're doing the right things. But it gets to a breaking point. And again, it's people don't realize that the middle class, because business owners, especially if they make the capital gains retro, also business owners who are trying to sell their business.
Oh yeah.
They're going to take a significant hit in regards to that. So,
but not only that, those small business owners, they have a balance sheet that they have to acquire a lot of debt in order to get something going. So they can't qualify for homes like normal people, W-2 people can. Right. So it's tricky. I don't.
And then they're trying to take out the carry forward on the losses, where the first 3 or 4 years that you're struggling to grow the business, and they're trying to take that away. So at the end of the day here, doesn't matter if you're left, right, in the middle. Simplify the tax code. Just make it easy
flat
so
tax.
everyone
flat tax.
and understand it. That's all. That's it. And just make it easy so people can make good educated decisions. I'm not talking about Amazon or the big organizations that are doing what they do. And I'm not for that either. I'm about, again, my customer, the 6,000 customers we have that are the true small, medium-sized businesses that at the end of the day drive our economy. It's not Amazon that drives our economy. It's the mom and pop business owners that drive our economy. And now we're going to take everything away from them if they try and sell it. And the cow. It's just that hopefully they Hey,
I'll circle this back to a Unifi question. So I've been in the office a few times. I've been fortunate where I've gone to a few events. So from a perspective, the last 12 to 18 months not being in front of people, what did that do? And as a leader of the organization, what did you do to make sure that you kept that, gel together with your team?
I really leaned on our management team here to do that. And the reason being is, and I've spoke about this a couple times early on during COVID, just like everybody else, and I'm going to be very transparent here. I didn't know what the future looked like. I didn't know how this pandemic was going to play out. I didn't know how our portfolio was going to play out. So one of the last meetings that we had in person, I was really transparent about what I was doing personally. An example of that is I took both my boys' cars off the road, canceled their insurance, gave up drinking. I'm like, I'm going to keep my immune system strong. So I was just trying to be, again, very transparent. But after we went through that, I just really leaned on our management team, which did an incredible job of stepping up, when I say stepping up, of just really keeping that communication open, because there really wasn't any message other than we have to keep doing what we're doing, take care of our deferments, people who have transitioned to PPP. Thank you. Keep supporting that. And we are like a small family, good, bad, or indifferent. And, everybody kind of knows everybody, what's going on in families. And, but as long as we're all rolling the boat, the right way, we're fine. I think we did a good job with it. I think our management team did a good job, but I will say we are going back into the office here and we're starting that transition.
Right.
And I think at the end of the day, that it's going to be a positive, when we do that, just because then you have the collaboration and the interaction and things of that nature. So
that's going to be a tough one. I mean, I originally thought it's like, the old days are dead. Like, this work from home, like this hybrid or whatever we were calling it. And now I kind of think where it's going to be somewhere right of the hybrid, where it's going to be hybrid in the middle, work over here, work in the office. Mm-hmm. And then I think people are going to have to give some allowance to work from home, especially with people that have a long commute, like so much more effective or efficient.
Completely agree with that. And I've told, because again, we're tied to a bank. So we have to be part of that culture, and we have to honor that culture, and which is a great culture. However, I've told my management team, we will be extremely sensitive, especially with families with children. I think that we might be rushing back a little soon, bringing us all back, and not to do with COVID. It's more moms and dads didn't have enough ample time to be able to provide, get proper childcare. Camps are limited,
especially going into summer, right?
I mean, so we will manage it accordingly, and we're always going to take care of our team. And it's interesting because everybody in the organization has said, including I worked harder the last 15 months than I did when I was going to the office. You said that too. We've had that conversation, because there's really here I am on a Sunday and you're home Sunday, and we're talking, this could be work, it could be whatever you want to define it. However, there was no separation.
No. No, and it's one of those things where our weeks get so full that that's unfortunately what happens. It just moves. It's like, okay, when are we going to squeeze this in? By the way, I appreciate you taking time on a Sunday afternoon or
No,
evening.
well, yeah, no, this is great. I mean, this is perfect. But let me ask you a question, because you're on the road a lot and traveling, and I mean, seeing customers. What do you believe the future looks like? And when I say future, the next 6 months, let's say the end of this calendar year, in terms of your travel, do you think people are going to want to start having person to person interaction more than they did before, or less, or at the same level?
So that's a great question. And I have a conference in 2 weeks. This equipment finance cares thing that we're a little working on for the last
And by
4
the
to
way,
6 weeks.
thank you very much for doing that. You know, it's a great initiative, and I'm glad you brought that up, because it's incredible what you're doing and putting together, and you know, just bring a lot of things to light. And we've got great people in our industry that will support and back it. So
thank you. I appreciate that. And that's kind of the reasons why I have people like you on here, because it's like I want to showcase thought leaders in equipment finance and show where this is a great industry. And I want to make sure that, you know, as we're an hourglass industry, right? There's a lot of old timers, and then there's very few people like you and I in the middle. And then it's how do you get those younger people to realize this is a great place to work, and hopefully this can help, you know, bridge that gap amongst other things. But where I was going with that is we have our first in-person event in 2 weeks. I am curious because people are itching to get in front of people. Now, when you get in front of people, you're going to be like, this is great, or wow, this actually wasn't as good as it used to be. This wasn't what I thought it was. And traveling now, I mean, I'm not sure if you've been on an airplane. I've traveled a few times this year, and wearing a mask in the airport, just the whole work travel sucks. Let's face it. Like, it's not as glamorous as people think. But then again, when you shut down the lobby bar, when you're on one floor and you have to wear a mask all the time, and half your favorite bars or restaurants are closed, like, what am I doing this again? Why am I getting away from my family? Like, I'm not efficient. All this work's still there. When I get home, it's piled up. So I don't know what that's going to be. I mean, I have a feeling that the ELFA this year, the annual, will probably have a record attendance, just because everyone wants to get out, and that's going to be probably the first in-person ELFA event. So that's going to be great. But it'll be interesting to pull those people a week after, and then after a week, 3 weeks after, once the nostalgia wears off, to see what they truly think and if that's something they want to do.
I think you're spot on. I think that people are going to be excited to get out and travel, but you know, for the last 15 months, just like yourself and everybody, again, it's not RJ and Jesse in a vacuum. Everyone experiences. I went from traveling 2-3 times a month. Matter of fact, the beginning of last year, I think I traveled 8 out of the first 10 weeks of the year. I was in an airplane going somewhere to do something. Some of it personal, but the majority of it business, and it just turned off. And you know, I slept in my own bed for the longest period than I ever have. My entire, you know, life with my wife. You know, we've been married 32 years. It's like, man, you know, maybe you need to get on the road again. You know, you're here too much, you know? So I don't know. I think it's going to be a fine line. Personally, I think that people are going to be, at least I'm going to try and be very selective if I'm going to travel. I want to travel. I think that when you do business person to person, that's really where great relationships are established and you get to know people. However, you know, there's going to be a validation process before you do that, because the other thing, people are also looking at their T&E spend and saying, wait a minute, let me look at this. You know, boy, we've only spent 20% of our T&E budget, but we're 18% over budget.
And that's going to be fine. And to your point, like, I'm not just when you get a hot prospect, yeah, let's do business. You jump on a plane and you get in front of them. I don't think that's not going to happen. I think it's going to be more of a one call close. Like, you get there once you dated for a little bit, then you go there to basically for the final courting process and the, you know, get in person to feel people out. I think the people that want to go 100% virtual with their sales process will eventually fail in this industry, because you need that one-to-one touch here and there. So that's just my personal opinion, where I don't think I'm going to jump on a plane and go.
Right.
Yeah, you have to watch your dollars.
But I want to expand on that, and this is why you're doing these fireside chats. People who have built a I don't want, profile is the wrong word, but a following or added value,
a brand, your own personal brand,
your own personal brand, they will continue to be successful, and this will shed a light on and help them be more successful, where people can Google you, follow your content, look at your LinkedIn, look at other things. People love doing business with people that they know and they're like-minded. And that's why we do business. That's why it's we want, and I think COVID has really shed light on life's too short. Everyone really was able to take a step back and look at things and say, what's important? What am I doing? What is anyone doing? In terms of making them happy. So I think back, to expand on that point, it's great if you're virtual, but you better have a brand. You better have value. You better be doing something that people can find you, and I can give you a story of that. We had a sales rep that was an inside sales rep. He's still with the organization. He's been with us for 6 years. Great young man. And he bought into social media early on. He bought into following people. He bought into engagement on social media with his customers, his dealers. And I'm not saying it's good, bad, or indifferent. He bought in. And he went to a dealer with our sales manager, who was an older gentleman. And the sales manager came back, and we were debriefing on the call, on the trip, and the meetings. And he said, it's unbelievable. He walks into these dealers and he's getting hugs from people and he's never met them before. And I stopped him. I said, that's where you're incorrect. They've built a relationship via social media. Just because they haven't met in person doesn't mean they don't have that relationship. Now, he took the time and energy to build that. And do that and leverage that. And I think those people that will continue to do that, especially in the new world, that we're in, I think they'll be successful. And you're doing it. You're a prime example of that.
I'm trying. I mean, originally, like, Brooks just said, why do you do some of that stuff on there? And but 40% of my Facebook friends are business related. They tie something to it, but it grounds you too. It makes you think twice in regards to, you get, oh man, I'm frustrated. You know what I mean? And that gets you in trouble 10 years down the road when you run for some office or whatever else. So it does center you that way. But no, I mean, it's like you said, it's your personal brand. And that's something that other people in this, not in the industry, but in this world, don't want to do. They want to separate it. And I get that. And I respect people's privacy. But, that's what makes, I as a salesperson or the head of an organization, I have a duty to my organization. And that's, making sure that we're out there and we have the opportunity to do business with people. So,
and I appreciate that, people, they say, I want to separate work to my personal life, but quite honestly, I don't believe that. I don't believe in that philosophy. I believe it's work-life integration. We pick and choose who we do business with. Either this industry picked us or we picked it. I think 9 out of 10 times people say the industry picked us and we kind of just happened to fall into it. And then when we got into it, we're like, okay, this is kind of cool. This is, it's not rocket science. We're helping businesses. It's a great industry, and hence why you're in it, I'm in it, and the people that we talk to. And but however, my point is that there is no there. I struggle with the whole private. Now, I'm not saying that everything has to be on social media. I'm very selective on things I put out there. However, it's life work integration. And if you love what you do, there's no on or off. You're just, I know you and like myself, I'm always thinking about business. I'm out trying to get better and learn new things and, follow our customers online. I mean, our customers that we follow online and we engage with, they come back for contract 2, 3, 4,
Absolutely.
5. And guess what? No one's on a plane going to see them, because we also take a vested interest. This is not a token, hey, we're going to follow you. It's a token, hey, congratulations. Hey, this is incredible. And then we actually build their file of that information.
No, I agree. I agree.
So
and that's what separates people, I think. And I think, whoa, getting a little windy here. That would have been great on this little thing here. Laptop goes flying
in the pool. You'd have to go after it. But I'm really excited about the next 6 months. I think that, it's crazy, at least from my perspective, how fast this year is going. And I think a lot of it has to do is, the everything is opening up. A reference point that I have is this weekend, we had beautiful weather here in Ann Arbor, but our pool where I golf was packed both days. And you could see the energy, you could see the excitement, you could see people are excited to be out and doing that. And the good news now here's the other challenge is the workforce. Okay. And you're going to start to experience this. So imagine you traveling, okay, and you're trying to go to dinner. However, every restaurant when you're in Dallas closes at 7:00 because no one has wait staff and you have to get it to go. So that's another detriment, and that's another challenge back to business owners. That we flooded we flooded so much cash into the system. People don't have to go work, and I don't know so much that in hospitality restaurant. I was reading a great article in the journal around people in the restaurant and hospitality industry. They had to make hard decisions in regards to if they want to stay in that industry. And a lot of people actually are working. They just left the industry because they needed something that was going to be,
absolutely.
Not, more stable than the hospitality industry. So that's an industry now that has to reinvent itself to attract people. And it'll be interesting how that all plays out.
No, absolutely. And RJ, I ask everyone here, like, give me a fun fact about yourself that I might know something, but maybe that other people don't know. Like
my go-to fun fact is I love auto racing. I love NASCAR. I used to actually race dirt cars in my early 20s. It was a hobby that my dad and I had. We did it for a couple of years, and then unfortunately he passed away unexpectedly, and it was kind of our thing. So I stopped doing it, but I used to get my hands dirty and used to turn a wrench. And as Mary Ann would tell you, I should not be turning wrenches. I'm 10 thumbs. However, I learned a lot, and I learned how to, change oil in a race car and, every weekend clean it. And it was pre-children. So, I wasn't nervous about that. And that's something we did for 3 years and had an absolute ball with it. Actually, in my office here, I still have my helmet that I wore when I raced, because I had it all. Of course, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to look good doing it, and I had it all painted and everything. So
you have a simulator too, right?
I did. I had a simulator, and then I sold that at the beginning of COVID. Again, I'm a business guy, so the market. I sold it for more than what I had invested into it. And matter of fact, the gentleman who bought it drove here all the way from Iowa to come get it. So he drove during COVID, the start of COVID, from Iowa to pick up my entire race simulator to buy it. So the timing was good. So I might get back into that, but it's a hobby I love. And probably the other thing is I owned a bar at 21. Who in their right mind would have a kid, at 21 own a bar? But my dad gave me the opportunity to do that. So I grew a bar with my dad and my brother from, zero revenue, from, an idea to $1 million company. And my brother, I ended up exiting the company, and then my brother ran it for 20 years and he just sold it 2 years ago. So if you can make it in the bar industry at 21, and my dad made me learn, I received my MBA. He made me go to the bank, get loans. He made me go to the attorney. He made me go to get insurance. He made me do everything, and he's my mentor. And I learned a lot, during that process. So that's, when people bring up, hey, you want to run a bar, they talk about the bar business. I just say, be careful, what you're getting yourself into. So,
I can relate. I grew up in one. Like, that's what my dad did, and I'm like, I got as far away from that as possible.
Yeah. You're gonna either end up an alcoholic that was divorced, most likely, if you stay in that business. And a fun fact is, actually, the bar we bought, the former owner was shot 4 times by his girlfriend that caught him in somewhere with another. Yeah. So that's
Fair
why,
enough.
yeah. But yeah, so auto racing and owning a bar is kind of my two. See, I haven't lived an exciting life, Jesse, like you. You know, it's pretty boring.
Oh, come on. Well, RJ, thank you for joining me, especially on a Sunday. I look forward to seeing you and Marianne, hopefully in the near future. And can't wait till you and I can actually catch up in person again.
Yeah, I look forward to opening up a big bottle of red wine and having some laughs.
Sounds great, sir. You have enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
All right, you too, Jesse.
All right, bye.